Welcome to All About the Game podcast in association with Clinched. You can download our podcast on all platforms every Friday. Clinched is a sports app that helps link clubs with coaches. If you are a coach in rugby, soccer or GAA and you are ready for your next role or your first role, download and sign up to Clinched app for free today.
Hello, and you're very welcome back to week 12 of All About the Game podcast. I'm your host, Podge Fogarty, and I'm joined by Johnny Dial, and we've Sean O'Brien back in the building. How are we, Ben?
Great.
All good.
Fantastic.
I like the way I get a bit of an extra bit of and Johnny Dial. Keep me awake, is it?
Keep the listeners awake.
Yeah. Well, good, Podge, yeah. All good. Yourself?
Yeah.
Close to the old holidays now.
Getting close to the holidays, yeah.
Shouldn't be bad for the Easter holidays.
I know, look, there's a lot of extra hours that go in and be tipping away at different things.
Extra
Plans
hours.
over the summer, so.
Extra hours.
No, just
Johnny's looking for a farmhand there if you want during the summer.
Do a bit of work now.
No, don't
work
put-
you do
don't
the
put-
bones out.
Yeah, no, it's after flying around. It's great, but yeah, all set. Put in a big last week now, and we'll be.
What, sports day, graduation, mass.
Look, they're the sports
Te-
day. That's the one you
teachers,
remember. You see,
Teachers' party. There's not much time left
They're
then,
all
Podge.
Staff
They're all
party,
important.
dangerous.
Staff party,
Them
yeah.
staff parties are dangerous.
yeah, at least
That's
at
4 days
at
gone.
the end of the year, you're not seeing the staff for another 3 months. Then, so
Not the Christmas party.
not as bad as going into the following Monday.
Stuff.
Yeah, no, lots to talk about. Lots happening in GA, lots happening in rugby. I suppose we'll start with the Heineken Cup final, Champions Cup final. Big win for Bordeaux. It's kind of a funny one with, I suppose, obviously when you maybe don't follow the rugby as much as, it's not your first sport. I don't know where I was the other day and I seen there was 20 minutes left and I went, jeez, I forgot it was on. When there's not a Leinster or a Munster in it, there doesn't seem to be as much talk. But Bordeaux got the job done anyways. They beat Northampton 28-20.
Yeah, got the job done. I always thought they'd probably have a little bit too much for them. A bit of power and a bit of more quality as well out wide. Having said that, Northampton lost two of their best players in the first 10 minutes of the game in Furbank and Ram. So they were backs to the wall early in the game. But yeah, I think it was one of those games when I've looked at it twice and I kind of thought, geez, it was very exciting the first 10-15 minutes. Everyone came at each other fairly hard and Northampton scored in the first 2 minutes of the game and then Bordeaux came back, and I think Bordeaux had a good bit of a chip on their shoulder as well during it. Just they kept your man Pollock quiet. They got stuck into some of their leaders and put them under pressure. Finn Smith had a very good defensive day, but they ran at him, and they just kept those two young lads, I suppose, that were standing out in the last few games, just put them under all sorts of pressure. Deservedly won the game. But it was exciting. There was some good tries and stuff. It's just like when you're thinking then, when you're looking at it from
What might have been.
point of view, you're like, oh Christ almighty. It kind of bugged me again then, of slipping up to Northampton. Because, obviously you fancy your chances against either of those teams if you were to play them again, But, But look, it is what it is. Fair play to Bordeaux. First time in their history. They have a very steady team there now. They've a big physical pack. They've signed well. They've a lot of local talent as well. Even Jalibert, the 10, he came through their whole academy system initially, went away and then came back. Class back three, Penno. He's flying, scored 2 tries again. I think he's top try scorer now in the Champions Cup. So they've threats everywhere, and in fairness to them, they deserve it.
Yeah, not so bad. No, obviously there was a bit of Irish interest, but he didn't make the squad. I think they went for a 5-2 on the bench in terms of with their forwards, and there was no space for Joey Carbery. He was obviously involved throughout the competition, and I think he had played a part in the semi-final coming on, but obviously must have been hugely disappointing for him not to get into the final squad.
when you're going with a 6-2 split, 6-2. You're thinking of football, so but no, when you're going with a 6-2, it's I suppose you're thinking, what type of game is it going to be? Is it going to be attritional? Are we going to need some proper punch off the bench? are our backs in good shape, the starting backs in good shape, and then have we cover, let's say, with a 10/15 on the bench, he can cover 10/15 or 10/12, so you've all those areas covered. Then you need a 9 probably, and a 9 that can, your starting 9 might be able to cover wing as well. So they're all the kind of permutations you go through when you're selecting that. But they probably needed the 6-2 split in terms of the up-front dominance and the way Northampton tried to move the ball around. They wanted probably fresh legs and that bit of physicality coming on. But yeah, unfortunately Joey didn't get in, but he's still a part of the squad, and he's a Champions Cup medal now in his arse pocket. But yeah, it's a funny one for him, because I would still think, and I still think him leaving Leinster was probably the worst move he's ever made in rugby.
Right.
Yeah. I thought he got ill-advised. I didn't think it was a good move for him at the time, going down to Munster. There was all this expectation on him that he was just like going to run the show down there, and he's probably, I would still say, I'd love to have seen him. Don't forget, like, Hugo Keenan came along in the 15 shirt after Joey left, kind of, but I would have loved to see Joey actually get a proper run of games after, like, Rob Kearney's gone to Joey Carbery, because Joey's so talented. Like, he'd light up the place, like, with his footwork and his space and his awareness. But I just think he had it in his head that he just was a 10 and that was it. And I think there was, well, from what you hear, I suppose, you don't really know. Like, I haven't spoken about it, but there was lots of people advising him on, stick with 10 and go with 10 and you are a 10. But like, I still think if you look at the amount of talent he has, like, has he utilised that the most of, over the space of his career?
Yeah.
Like, fair play to him. Like, he's still trucking along, and he's playing, when he plays well and everything. But I just think the ceiling for Joey was so much higher.
Yeah, he kind of went, I suppose Munster probably didn't work out for him as he wanted, and he's moved on to Bordeaux. And as you said, like, again, it probably similar to Sam Prendergast maybe, where he was, that there was a lot of talk about him, and us as kind of Kildare, you're hearing loads about him, and you're wanting him to kind of really make it. I'm not saying he hasn't made it, he's probably on a good contract, and as you say, he's a Champions Cup, but he had a real opportunity there. Like, he probably dropped off in terms of Ireland selection, and he hasn't been kind of in that process recently, and as you say, maybe hanging on at Leinster might have given him them opportunities.
Yeah, well, it is like when you have someone that young, you need to back him then as well, and say, right, get through the rocky patch that you're maybe in, But like,
he's not young anymore. I want to say he's not. Is he heading for the late 20s?
26, 27.
Oh, Joey, we're talking about.
Joey,
Joey's. I'd say he's probably 30. Maybe he could be a bit older than that. But or maybe just around that. But likes of Sam, for instance, even now is 21. Like, it's like people will say, "Oh, is he the finished article?" Of course, he's not the finished article. 21 years of age, like, and you're playing international rugby, and you're trying to run a team, But like, the great thing about it is he has people around him that can teach him an awful lot, and he'll learn an awful lot, and all that kind of thing. I think I still. Like, I'm not saying like it's the right decision what Joey done, but I think at the time there was a lot of pressure, even from, I would have read at the time, like, Joe was putting him under pressure to go and play 10 in another province.
Right, okay.
Joe Smith, like, is it, when you look back, is it the right move? I don't know. But fair play to him. Like, he's still rocking away there, and he's such a talented player. I remember in Leinster training years ago going, Jesus Christ, can't wait for this lad now to be, playing alongside you, because he could do anything.
Yeah, quality.
But he's in Bordeaux now, and hopefully, like, he starts getting more game time and showing people what he's able to do and kick on again.
Yeah, hopefully so. And just actually speaking, just come into my mind there, don't know if you were listening to the Off the Ball yesterday with James Tracy. They were mentioned, and it was good.
Nice,
it was just,
nice.
Yeah, he was nice, but no, it was good. I was talking about preparation for games, and he was saying how you always knew it was a big game week with Sean early on the week. He'll nail someone or nail a few lads and cause a fight and put everyone on edge. Just wanted to see was there any truth to the story.
Yeah, there probably was a bit of truth. I would have always said on the bigger weeks, it has to be it has to feel different, it has to look different. You need to be different, like, and those bigger weeks, especially when it comes into like semi-finals, finals and stuff. But yeah, I probably would have had it in my head that people needed to know that there was no fucking around that week, and we were on it from the word go. The minute we hit the first training session, did it boil over? Sometimes, of course, it did, because you're like probably a bit fired up with certain lads that have different ways of preparing, and certain lads are, you know, giddy, or do you think that their head is in the game, or are they doing a bit too much laughing and joking and messing around at the start of the week? And
Not focused.
that used to infuriate me, and
Brings
where probably just I used to boil a little bit, and probably at times a bit over the top, but I don't think it done us any harm.
No, definitely not.
But it would have been.
I think he kind of appreciated it as well. He was saying it was good. He was just saying,
because those young lads, and I would have said Tyke Byrne was one of them too. Like Tyke Byrne, I'd say hated me when I was in Leinster. Not that I didn't hate anyone in Leinster. I just wanted us to win, and that was it. Regardless of what happened in the week, I would never hold a grudge or anything. If I got the head thumped off me, or someone raked me or stood on me, or anything, that'd be it. Like, it'd be, once you walk off the field, that'd be it. But like I remember Tyke Byrne, like, and I've often said this, like, he was a pain in the hole at training. He'd be doing what he does now with opposition teams. He'd have his head over the ball the whole time. He'd be staying in the tackle. He'd be just, you know, messy, like, and hard to play against. But on the flip side of that, he was preparing us so well. Yeah. You know what I mean? Even though he didn't get the opportunities he probably deserved when he was in our setup at the time, but he went away and went to Scarlets and turned himself into a world-class player. Yeah. But like we all start out like that. I remember going into one of my first Leinster training sessions with Eric Miller, like when I was only 19 maybe. And the same thing happened to me though. Yeah. I remember coming out of a ruck one time after putting my head over the ball and the jersey swinging off my back after being shooed. I had 12 stud marks down my back. I was like, right, I'm not going to go in there again too quickly. But that's
the
learning.
What I mean? You know what? It's a funny one probably as a manager. Like I said, a manager's probably going, Jesus Christ, God, but in the back of his head going, loving it, like. You need someone to bring that. Like,
the funny thing about it, the thing about it is nowadays, I think it is, you don't see too much of that anymore. I don't think you'd see it. I would have said, I'd say it's probably in every sport, because there's such a focus now on the detail and prep, and you know what I mean, that sometimes you miss that little bit of, Jesus Christ, why is he so fired up? Well, it's a big week, like.
In
like,
your
and
book.
the other thing is, it's a bit. Coaches don't want to see it, and even myself, I do be, when I see a bit of a row happening in training or someone grabbing each other, I get like edgy. I'd be like, someone's going to get belted here, like, it could be hurt, like.
For the big
But then on the flip side, I'm like, Jesus, I love that, like,
it's a good sign.
Let them into each other for 20 seconds.
Yeah, you see a bit of fire in the belly then.
But there is a balance, like, nowadays, like, because you don't want lads poking the head off each other, obviously, you know.
In your book, I think you used to be sent for a lap a good bit to calm down, and it was a good one. Driscoll got a yellow card and had kind of let us down in the game before, and you were sent for a run and you were going around the back of the goals, and Driscoll got onto you saying, Jesus Christ, Sean, calm down. You were going to kill him.
I said to him, I still remember perfectly, because he was standing in between the two posts, and he said to me, Jesus Christ, Sean, you can't be doing that. And I said, you shut the fuck up. I said, who do you think you are, Mr. fucking Perfect? I said,
Mr. Perfect.
Mr. Perfect. I said, you got a yellow card last week. And I just kept running. And he came up to me after training and he was laughing his head off. He said, that was the best answer, he said.
Mr. Perfect.
Mr. Perfect.
The blonde highlights probably at the time. What a player though. And obviously plenty happening in the football. We both got it wrong again, Johnny. Well, no, you were right last week. We talked about.
I'm fed up in right, to be honest with you.
We looked at thought Donegal go and beat Tyrone, but Tyrone have put themselves right back in contention. Like, that was a statement win in Ballybuffet. Massive win,
huge win, and you know how hard it is to go to Ballybuffet and win. But it just, there's so many games now, even games this weekend. Like, you just don't know, like, what's going to happen. And I know we'll talk about it in a minute, but. You know, and particularly with the new rules, you can be 6 or 7 points ahead. And you think, like that last year, if you're 6 or 7 points ahead, you just go and close out the game, and you know, maybe hold the ball. Like now, it's, you know, you could be 10 points up and still not win the game. So, but great. Listen, in one way, you're delighted to see Tyrone. It's just another team in the mix, and a mix for great football, for, you know, what's to come ahead. And certainly, you know, like Donegal gave loads of what we know they're capable of, but they just didn't have enough for Tyrone. And you know, it's gas. It's the old saying, winner takes it all. But all of a sudden now, everything Malik O'Rourke did was brilliant, and everything Jim McGuinness now, who, you know, Jimmy's losing matches now.
They're all scratching their head now.
You know, and like the truth is, there was very little between two good teams, and one team just finished that little bit ahead, and that's sport. Like, but the analyst that goes into it, you're just thinking, lads, come on. Like, would you bet against Donegal losing or winning All Ireland?
Absolutely
Probably not. Like, you know, so. But that's the structure of the championship, and I think it makes for great entertainment.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It was, and probably looked like, you know, Tyrone missed chances later in the second half, especially, and Michael Murphy was keeping them in touch, 2 pointers.
Yeah.
Like, he seems to be all over the pitch, fetch a ball in the middle. He's like a 25-year-old, not a 35-year-old. But as you say, just huge win for Tyrone. It definitely gives them confidence and puts them back in the I suppose, people talking about them in contention for an All Ireland. Obviously Meath went and beat Cork, which was a good win for Meath after losing their provincial final, and then in Cedral Park we'd Louth and Monaghan, and I suppose Monaghan, in fairness to them, like, they were been motoring well and had that 5-week break. People kind of not forgot about them, but, you know, they haven't been mentioned. But like, they had been going well. They were unlucky, you know, beaten by 2 points in the Ulster Championship. So they're a good side, and they showed that against Louth. Yeah,
they are a good side, and they've really good footballers all over the field. Like, and you were wondering what with the hangover from Louth, you know, like, what you can say, there's calm it down, as they've won the first Leinster since 63. You know, you have to celebrate those. You just have to, and you can't celebrate it.
2 weeks flat out,
you know. Well, I wouldn't say there were 2 weeks, but I'd say they enjoyed the time. But
14 days,
you know, and again, but just on the day they were like, Louth played some good football as well. But, you know, Monaghan had too much all over the field for them. You know. Our buddy did well again, Stephen O'Hanlon.
Yeah, he's just lightning.
Hard to get the emotional part of that right for Louth, like.
Yeah,
you know, after being on such a high.
Yeah, to come back down and play.
Yeah, come back down, get back to a good level again.
Yeah, and again, you'll never know. But is there a player thinking, well, look, that's a good year for us now, lads. You know, anything else is a bonus. And
yeah,
you know,
I just think Monaghan are. I actually think Monaghan are probably a better side. They're just a little bit ahead of them at the minute. Like, Louth came back into the game, and, you know, Monaghan always looked like they were going to win, but I don't even know if it was a case of coming back down. Obviously, it's difficult and they have to manage it, but Monaghan are a fair side. I don't know if they played them in 3 or 4 weeks' time. I think the outcome will be the same. Monaghan finished ahead of them in the league, beat them in the league. Yeah, but Louth are still in it. They'll go to, not too sure where to go actually next. It's not a bad group. Clare Down left to go to Down next in, so they'll feel that they can go there and get a win and get back on the right path. Like, Monaghan is probably the toughest.
Yeah, it's the toughest
opponent
start.
they'll play in that group.
Yeah, and like we saw Clare were put to the sword by Down as well. So they'll fancy the chances of you know, picking up points along the way. But they'll have to find another level again. Like, some of their big players were probably a little bit subdued. I know. You know,
Mulroy probably wasn't.
No, he wasn't. No. And look, he still kicked some great scores, but yeah, he probably just wasn't the same influence, and that's going to happen. And because he's a marked man as well, you know. So Lennon showed bits and pieces, but again, wasn't at the level for the Leinster final. And you know, so
while they're probably not a team that could win the All Ireland, they're definitely a tough opposition that you can see them causing an upset or two along the way. Don't think anyone would fancy having them at any stage. As I said, a good mixture with McCarran and size, and then, as you say, speed, Stevie O'Hanlon, and you know, they're that tough Ulster.
They are,
and begging obviously with his freeze.
Yeah.
So no, it'll be interesting to see over the next few weeks. I do have to give one shout out there. Laughing at young entrepreneur came with these JP Nolan sports. So he's actually a young lad in the school where I teach, but he's an entrepreneur with his own company.
And how much you get nowadays?
We worked that out
lovely,
after.
aren't they?
Yeah, they're nice. But he actually came to me and I didn't even know he knew about the podcast, but he had this design, and said about linking up with it. So fair play to him. He's lots of nice gear out there, and you can actually get onto his website there, JP Nolan Sports. So I say it's good to see 16 years of age, his own brand and good quality gear.
Podge 10% for your 10% discount.
Yes, at 16 it's fair going.
Yeah, no, he's been selling gear the last year or two there with between the grip, socks, gloves, up and running. But he has a website there and real quality gear there. So no, fair play to him. I had to give him a shout out. I think even to have just came with a design. Not did you want the design or did you want t-shirt? Came to me with that. So no, it's brilliant and it's good quality gear as well.
No,
so.
when I was 16, I didn't know where my top was. Hello,
no, exactly.
Getting onto the mother, where's my gear? So,
exactly. Yeah,
he's well ahead of
he has a good business teacher.
Yeah. Once the business is bankrupt within a year, now Podge you be.
Fair play to him. A shout out. Yeah. No, we'd 1 or 2 questions from listeners there as well during the week. And actually, what I thought was interesting was sporting idols growing up and who we followed. And I know, Sean, you were probably more football when you were younger and went to rugby. I suppose I'd start with you. Was there ever, even 15, 16, was there ever someone that you aspired to be, whether it be on the GA pitch or rugby pitch? Was there someone that you wanted to play like, that you kind of followed?
GA wise, Tommy Dowd. He would have been one.
Yeah, a bit of a battering ram as well.
Yeah,
Tommy, when he got going,
he
wasn't going round, lads. He was straight through.
Yeah, him, Kieran Whelan. Who else on the football side of it? I used to like watching Mickey Linden.
Oh yeah, great player.
Yeah,
too young to know any of these.
Yeah, yeah. And then, that'd be it, kind of football wise, I'd say. Used to like Park Joyce. I used to love watching Park Joyce.
Yeah, class.
And then rugby wise, I would have had Victor Costello. Would have been number 8 for Leinster for years in Ireland. I used to like watching Victor play. And then Paddy Johns for Ireland, who was an Ulster second row. Fairly saucy now, so he was. He used to have the scrum on, but I just remember him getting involved in everything, and it was like, "Go on, Paddy." I've never actually met the man, would you believe?
Right.
But hopefully I will at some stage. But they were probably the 2 lads rugby wise. Is there anyone else rugby wise? I used to love Sinzan Brook. Watching Sinzan Brook, New Zealand number 8 as well.
Did you ever come across? Would Victor Costello ever been involved with?
No, he'd retired 2 years before I came into the academy, but I would have met him for a good few pints actually when I was living in Dunleary a few times, and he's great cracking company, and he's a pilot.
Really, yeah.
Yeah, for Aer Lingus. So he's a sound fella, big man. He was the quickest. The boys reckon he was the quickest man over 10 yards that Leinster ever had. Like 120 something kilos, like 6'4", like could move. Well, like that's what I remember about him. When he wanted to play, he'd dominate the game. But
one that you would have followed and kind of try to base your own game around it.
Yeah, a little bit carrying wise. Yeah, he was lazy enough now. Victor was at times. He'd be hot and cold. But he was when he was on. He was phenomenal. He was on phenomenal. Yeah,
Johnny, I suppose yourself.
Yeah, look, there's a probably again like that. When I sort of got interested in Gaelic football, when you really took an interest, you were 10, 11 years of age, and that time you didn't get to see Kildare on the telly. There was even the provincial finals weren't shown on the telly. That time it was all Ireland semi-finals and finals. But the big one for me was Larry Tompkins. Obviously being a Kildare man, and he was playing for Cork, and it was gas. I went to school in Allen, and we used to wear the red jerseys. Still wear the red jerseys, but I was mad to wear number 11 you were kicking frees like Larry Tompkins. You were out kicking in the garden, and because you watched him on the telly, and the fact that he was a Kildare man doing well, and like I was when he was captain of Cork in 1990, I was 12, so like I was really into it then, and I remember for the All-Ireland final asking the teacher could I bring the jersey home to watch the match, so he was probably one. And then I love Mike Sheehy of Kerry. Mike, he was brilliant, great 2-feet kick frees as well from the ground. So you were, as a typical young lad, you were playing out in the backyard, and I'd say if anyone saw me, I'd be commentating, because I had no brothers, so I was playing my own. I was playing the Munster final, and I was both Kerry and Cork, and they thought I was mad.
This lad next door is losing his mind.
Yeah, I know. Chatting away to myself, commentating. But yeah, and we got the pleasure of meeting Mikey out in Portugal.
We did. We walked into O'Shea's in Portugal.
In Villamora.
Or in Villamora, yeah. And it was like, Johnny was that excited. It was like if I walked in and Messi was there. Like, his jaw hit the ground.
I was delighted myself.
And Johnny says, "There's Mikey Sheehy." And with that, Mikey, "How are you, Johnny?"
We went down
Like a
to
big
watch
kid.
a match, and we let the women were going off, the kids were going off, Siobhan was going off, and so I would go down and watch the match like 2 or 3. We fell over. Me and Podge fell over. Mikey never. It was like he never had a drink in him. But you know, they always say, "Well, don't meet your hero." You'd think he never kicked the ball. There was no talk about him. He gave all our medals, like, unbelievable. But it's like he never kicked the ball. It was more about how our Alan would go, how our Lawrence was going.
Yeah. It's great, isn't it?
Oh, he was
Lovely.
just such
We had a
great.
pint, and then Mikey got Johnny a pint. He got me a pint. Johnny got a pint. I got a pint, and then come back to him, and Johnny says, "I'll just have a bottle." "You won't. You'll have a pint," he says.
So he fell over the place.
Johnny was trying to
I
set
brought
himself
Johnny,
up.
I brought Johnny on home, and I went back out with Siobhan.
I was hammered.
Went off for the seconds in, man.
So they were probably my two growing up. Do you know? And you mentioned rugby, and like, obviously I would have watched that time. Sports Stadium was big. You know, Brendan Riley be commentating on the sport. Eric Elwood, I loved watching
Eric,
Elwood.
yeah.
He was a kicker as well. Was the
Yeah.
and of course rugby that time was so much different. Like, there was no lift in the line out or stuff like that. But I loved watching Eric
It's funny
Elwood.
when you mention Eric Elwood there, actually. Eric was one of my first coaches.
Really,
at underage level. But him and the team he was on at that time had a fella called Simon Gagan on the wing.
All right, yeah. Remember him? Yeah, Blondie lad.
Blondie lad.
He was
my
a flyer.
God, he was a flyer as
Yeah,
well.
I remember
It
him.
actually, when you keep thinking, you know, you always players crop up, but they're lads that you remember and stand out. Like.
And another one, I think it might have been just before Eric Elwood, maybe it was after him. Ralph Keys. He was a great kicker. Was he before? Yeah. He was a great kicker too.
Yeah.
I was always into see who kicking the ball over the bar.
Who was that kicking the furthest?
So there you go.
Yeah.
What about you, Podge?
It is gas. My hero Ashram sitting beside him.
I teed that up well.
I remember I used to be when I was a young lad, I used to be a little bollocks, like sulky, like when I was 7 or 8, and it was actually outside here. My and dad, whatever, they come up. Sometimes we'd be sulking and we'd go into Nana's, and I'd say, "No, I'm waiting in the car." So we came up here one day, and I was sitting out in the car. "I'm not going in, I'm sitting in the car." And they all went in, and Emer came running out and says, "Johnny Dial is in the house." Well, such a predicament Dad to be has, I stick to my guns. So I remember traipsing on in then.
I must be only starting the court around here that time.
When he had the scene, but cheers, just outside the door there, it's gas. But
That's very good.
Yeah, well, that was funny. But say never meet your heroes, but
Yeah,
we've all our right experiences there, anyways. There's also been a bit of talk about the split season, and it's something that's kind of been talked about a lot in kind of the last few years, I suppose. Rugby seem to have got it right, and we'll chat about that in a minute. With football, like, we're looking at, who do we have? We've Wexford, Clare and Waterford in hurling gone out with a championship before June. A lot of people saying the likes of, it's cruel not maybe seeing the likes of Lee Chin or these kind of Shane O'Donnell, these top players, and they've gone out with a championship. It seems to be maybe better for the clubs. What are your thoughts on it overall?
Yeah, well, look, I think in general, I think we brought the championship back from the third Sunday in September right back to end of July, or so it is. It's a tight season, and yet the club season hasn't got any shorter. So it's not really split either, because I know here in Kildare, some people, even a lot of teams even before Christmas, are back training, and they're still, even if you're to go out early, you're into September. So it's not really a split season for clubs. But I suppose the point being, like, it was going, like, you have to start sort of getting rid of teams, for want of a better word, at some stage in Champions. And the fact that it's so tight now, big teams are going to go.
Yeah.
Now, in fairness, hard to believe the All-Ireland champions are gone out of Lee McCarthy and Kildare are still going into Lee McCarthy. So it's a big one for Kildare, and they're certainly on the up. But I think every year you look back, when there was knockout, you want to see the best players, but if they're not good enough, I wouldn't be a big one on it. Of course, we all love watching the superstars, but you can't watch them all.
I would have similar thoughts. I think they lost their games, they got knocked out. I also think it's so hard on county players now, because you go county season, club season, the club county final doesn't be on, and there's talk that a county team is back in training. So most lads might get a week or two and it's back in. Now, whilst Clare players or Wexford players won't want to be out of the championship early, I'm sure there's a little bit of maybe an opportunity where they have a month or two break that, they have to, obviously they're disappointed they're out to win, but there's probably that chance of, it could be 4 or 5 years since Clare lads, maybe they've probably been going on the go all the time to refresh, get that bit of headspace and go again, maybe go back for the summer and play a bit of club and enjoy that side of it. Not saying that's what they want, but if they're gone by June, they're gone by June. They lost their 2 or 3 games, they're out of the championship, plough on.
It's just the way it goes, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's tough luck.
It is tough luck, yeah.
They were riddled with injuries and bits and pieces at the start, I know, but sure, that's the hand they were dealt to make it on with now. And as you say, I do genuinely think some of those, the way GA lads are trained at the minute, I'd say some lads will be delighted with a break and they'll hit the ground running next year. The other side of it is for the likes of the Wexford, they'll take a couple of, and then they say, okay, well, there's an opportunity maybe to give the club thing a rattle. And we all know if you can get it on a run with the club, it's magic, So there might be a bit. Of course, you'd be disappointed after a few, but then you just yourself.
But as you said, the club season hasn't really changed. I remember when we played a league final with Kildare, and then there was a 9-week gap in the first round of the championship. So
that's what happens with Carlo.
Yeah. But it was a bit of a nightmare. It's a second pre-season. I don't think you should be playing the following week, but I think keep it going. Lads want matches. I definitely know, as you say, club season. I know our first round of the championship in Carlow is the 5th of September, so we've no matches for June.
That's it's madness though.
That played a hurling first.
You're going back into the middle of winter as well. I don't understand that about the way Carlow is set up. It's a small county. How, in the name of God, can they not get the fixtures right?
Why can't they go hurling this week, football next week?
Yeah, I think it's
same in Wexford.
I think when they set on it was a 3-year thing, and I think it's to revert next year. But
no, it's the 3 years was up.
Oh,
this was the year it was meant to change, and it hasn't changed.
It's just with Clonmore, we've a game tonight, and then we've nothing for June, July, and August. The 3 best months of the year to play football.
But also the other thing is with just about Carlow GA was they came and asked for the clubs for the JP money last year, right? And then there was a big email put in, and my own club put in one as well, about detailing the whole structure of what would be proposed. And then they were like, are you going to train our manager, or are you going to pay our managers then for the way you've set up our season, basically, with 3 months of nothing, really, no games for nobody, and all this crack. They're completely backwards in there at the minute, honest to God. But playing, I remember going to see
I think they're great lads.
Honest to God, I went to watch an under-20 final last year, and it was the 3rd of December, I think.
It's crazy. That's crazy.
And wind and rain and all the football. Not now the best of weather.
But do you know what it is? It is kind of crazy. It's a general problem. We were just chatting there before tonight. If you're under 20, All-Ireland final on a Wednesday night, it's a huge occasion for both counties. Huge for Louth and for Tyrone. But I just find that so strange that it's on a Wednesday night.
It is, and it's all those lads. Someone will be in school, some of them may be doing exams. And again, it's one of our major competitions, and we have it on a Wednesday night. I know it's probably on TV Car or whatever, but for the players,
not Saturday.
It should be a Saturday or Sunday. Make a big deal that families can go and support.
Yeah,
if you were. You might be in a position working late, you have kids there who'd love to go and see their heroes in the future, and I don't understand.
It is. It's. Look, I know that there's a lot to squeeze in, and Sigerson and.
Well, it's not making money, is it, for them?
No. That's no, it is. It's what it comes down to.
That's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
You know.
But whatever chance it has of making a few bob, it won't make it of a Wednesday night.
Wednesday night,
No,
exactly.
yeah, it's just I don't know. I think it's a bit weird for players or something that on All Ireland. Like it's a massive occasion. Under 20 All Ireland final. Like it's huge. It just seems funny on a Wednesday night. You know, realistically, I think the game is it in the Athletic Grounds in
Armagh, yeah.
Like I don't know, you're nearly looking at taking half days to go to the game, or you know, like it's, or you're rushing to get home and get across. No, it's a funny one. Now look, I don't know. I'm sure
there's reasons behind it.
There might be reasons behind it, but I don't know why you wouldn't have it on a Saturday evening. Yeah, no, it is. It's a funny one, but no, it'll be. No, look, it's especially as Tyrone. Look, it's always a massive occasion, but for Louth under 20s to be in an All Ireland final, I'm sure it's a long time since they were there. They're really riding the crest of a wave at the minute. We'll look forward to this week. We have to wrap up a bit quicker tonight. I have a match. So
why are you doing the warm up?
No, not doing it.
Full forward.
Bigger jerseys and I might. Yeah, no, we'll look. We actually were looking at doing a bit of a thing in terms of looking back at games and a highlight of the week and low light of the week. I don't know. I can kick it off actually if you want.
You go ahead.
In terms of sport, my highlight of the week was on a smaller level. I was at Cumming to Mulskull yesterday. Final. My wife was training Ballyshannon in the senior boys. And
were you a consultant?
Were you a consultant? I was the consultant, umpire. But jeez, it was gas just over there. Like young lads, it was like playing an All Ireland final, and it ended up a cracker of a game. And they came out on top anyways. David Early, Sarsfield's legend, nephew with Dermot Early, stuck a great ball in the corner to win the game, and big celebrations after. We all headed back to McDonald's, so that was my real highlight. Back to McDonald's.
You're absolutely right.
Did you go large?
I always go large. But do you know what? It was just it was deadly. Just the young lads were going at it, and sure it was like their All Ireland final, and all the better that a coaching masterclass by Sinead herself. But yeah, no, it was a really enjoyable one. I suppose low light. It was disappointing sad to hear Kevin McStay. He for medical reasons had to step down, but obviously we wish him the best and hope that he can recover soon. Yeah, so that was my highlight and all. What to Johnny?
Oh yeah. Well, I'll start with my low light. You mentioned the Coming to Bunskull, so I'm going to see your Coming to Bunskull, and I'm going to, I won't say raise you one, but the twins at home, Orla and Amy, were playing in the final against Rathcoffey, similar size school to ourselves in Allen, and they lost by a point. So I'm going to, now they're going to McDonald's, which might soften the blow, but there will be tears later on, and the what ifs, and what they should have done and what they shouldn't done, and then they'll turn on each other saying, Amy will tell her that I was open for a ball and you didn't pass it, why didn't you, and you shouldn't. So we'll have to deal with that. But no, you're right though. Look, I remember the games I played for the school, like they were magical. I struggle to name a team that won the Leinster or a team that won the championship, but I could name the two teams, the under 10 and under 13 team that I won in Allen. I could still remember the game so vividly because you were a sponge at that age, So yeah, that was probably the low light. And highlights. Oh, Jenny.
Just a low light.
Just a low
well, you know what?
It can be just a low
Again,
light.
I'll stay local. We had a great howl, Alan Wood, the killer bees, as we call ourselves. We had a good win against Salins on Monday night. A wet, dreary night. Going over in the car, couldn't keep the window or the rain off. The window was coming down the hard. And I said, John, what are you at? 47 years of age.
In your element, you go that.
And then, of course, we got going and we got a couple of scores. And then we started, we might get something out. They were playing with the wind. We scored more against the wind than we with the wind. I might get it. And then you're going home delighted with yourself.
In the Glennons run.
Yeah, no, I didn't get that far. Two local highlight.
Monday club.
The Monday club is well gone.
Shawnee, anything in your
low
part?
Low light was Laois scoring a goal in the last puck of the ball for the Carlow Hurlers.
What a killer, yeah.
I felt sorry for them because they've been going well, put an awful lot into that game, and yeah, it's a funny one. Just last puck of the ball and in the back of the net. So Laois progressed.
With who? Oh, Kildare.
Kildare,
Kildare. And then that's the low light. Highlight was actually all my grass seeds coming up. I was thinking I'd have to go and spend more money and reseed it again, but they're up anyway and they're growing like mad at the minute, which is lovely to see.
It's good growing
the
weather.
Weather is perfect now because it's mild
growing.
and there's a bit of rain and there's a bit of sunshine and so that's
all
probably the
happening.
highlight. I walked it there last night now and I was smiling coming back up through it.
The little
Simple things in life.
Nice one. I suppose quickly looking forward to this weekend. I suppose in rugby, Leinster take on Scarlets. I was looking there, the handicap is 20 points, which makes it look straightforward, but that was also the case a few weeks ago. Just making sure that don't make that mistake again.
Exactly. It won't be straightforward. I was just saying to Johnny, they're on a bit of a roll. I think they've won 9 out of the last 11. Very consistent team to have, so they all know exactly their plan and what they're doing. Dangerous side around the breakdown. So yeah, we're under no illusions. We've spoke about this week, so it should be a cracker.
Deadly. Yeah, and obviously in football, a few big games we're looking at. Dubs and Armagh, I suppose, is the big one. Johnny, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, again, like Dublin, we talked about it last week. They bounced back and they're back in the mix big time. You know, I still think Armagh will have too much for them. Rian O'Neill back is a massive boost for Armagh and Kieran McGeeney. So, and they just seem to be getting. Niall Grimley came on the last day, I think, and you know they're just slowly getting those big players back. And I think if they can keep the momentum going, they might have too much. But look, you just don't know. You really don't know. But I'll give the nod to Armagh. I think they might just have
I
too
think
much.
so too. And actually Dubs are slight favourites, which I was surprised when I seen that, because I would have fancied Armagh going into that as well. But I suppose after Dublin's win last week, it's kind of
it's in Croke Park as well, isn't it?
It's in Croke Park.
Yeah,
but
we'll
I
see.
even think I think with Armagh.
No, Armagh don't mind Croke Park either, but Dublin are always better in Croke Park.
True.
You know,
very
definitely
true.
are. Whether
Johnny,
people
do you
like to admit
call
it.
that one Dubs and Armagh? No,
I'd agree. I'd say Armagh though. The Dubs caught Galway. Galway's obviously mentality was they're at home. It'll happen for us. We're going well, type thing.
Yeah.
And the Dubs went up there and they said, right, we're just going to get into these fuckers.
Yeah,
You know.
so true.
But that's probably what I thought is that Galway at home.
Yeah.
Dublin will get a kick out of Dublin, no doubt.
Yeah.
But I still thought Galway would have done much for them.
Yeah, and they thought the same. And then lastly, we'll look at Tyrone and Mayo. It's
Sure.
I give Mayo a chance.
No,
I tell you
chance.
why.
No chance.
We spoke last week, and I said, awful circumstances. Like, I thought Mayo need something. They need, like, I think they were thinking their season's gone. Obviously, terrible circumstances with Kevin McStay, and I say we wish the best, but will there be something there from the players to say, jeez, we owe him to, like, he stepped down on the short term. You know, can we get over the line and get him back in? And
I think there'll be an emotional bounce, no doubt, a little bit. But I just don't think they have the firepower from or the quality.
Yeah,
it's a tricky one to know. It's tricky to know, and you're right. Like Kevin McStay, you'd wish him the very best. I'd say, look at the pressure that man was under was huge.
Yeah.
But the expectation of Mayo, and it's the same in any intercounty job, and then people has, you know, people feel they have a right to just say what they want about them, you know. I was listening to our buddies up in RF in Mayo. I was throwing in a load of turf, and I was going through a few podcasts of this. Listen to the boys there now. I hadn't listened to them in a while. And like, you know, they're after being beaten by Cavan, and they analysed everything, and they won't give Mayo football in general much chance. But it's hard to know. If there's a bounce, yes, you might get it this weekend. I still think Tyrone will have too much. Emotion is great, but it doesn't get you. Like the few, I remember the few different times we used emotion down there. The big one that stood out was the time of Dermot Early's funeral. We're playing, like, it was big emotion. The place was jammed. You know, was Dermot going to play? Was he not going to play? And we were all, we have to do this for Dermot. Have to do. And we should have been bet, like, we were steep to get a draw over. No emotion the next day, and went up to Cason Park and kicked the shite out of him.
Yeah.
You know, so
Because
emotion can be tricky.
Emotion is draining. Like.
It is, yeah.
It's like when you have a little bit of it's good, because lads are on age and they're fired up a little bit. But if you're too emotional, your energy goes.
Yeah.
Well, it's even funny, as you say, using it in the right way. But like I think Mayo are just gone. They were dipping. Not saying they needed fucking something to haven't happened. Obviously, they'd rather have them on the sideline, but as you said, they have to use that emotional bounce, some sort of a bounce. I don't know what it is. I don't know.
Yeah, they're in a tough place.
And it was just hard to see where their season was going to improve. You know, it might just give them something that they get together and say, lads, fucking for Kevin himself, for all the work he's put in, but we owe it to him.
Yeah.
Look, whether that'll be enough.
There's a lot of stuff going on off the pitches.
As well, and that's the main thing you're hearing about with the lads living in industrial park.
That's been going on for years, lads. Years. I heard stories like when I was up there a bit 5 years ago, like that was all still
so it's,
and then you had Jarlath Burns and going up and talking to delegates and delegates looking for answers on finances, and it just seems a complete mess up there, and that affects it does
it turns everything, as you said, outside noise. It does.
It does.
Everyone sees it. Everyone sees it. Everyone's on.
You're going for Mayo after all that.
I'm going to go for Mayo.
Come on, that's fair enough. I'll stick with Tyrone. I think
Tyrone.
Yeah, that's right. Lads, thanks a million. This is All About the Game podcast in association with Clinched. Episode 12 you can download on Spotify or wherever you get your podcast. Sean, Johnny, thanks a million.
Cheers, Podge.